One that just came. Thank you for the question. Do we know what's happening with CRT in Montgomery County schools, and how can we replace school board in 80% Democrat county?
It's a pretty good one. Come on, tell them, Gordana.
So very sad story. I do have a client that is in Montgomery County Public Schools. She was terminated and has been on unpaid leave for so many months because of her pure bravery to stand against not just the CRT, but the behavior of the school system in respect to the vaccine mandates and in respect to masking mandates. The lawsuit is ongoing. She's been struggling. For all of you who are willing to help her, call me later. But it is a woman that is as brave as one can get. And I do know what's happening with CRT Montgomery County Public Schools. They are so far into the leftist ideology that any discussion with them right now would be as if I were to talk to pure communists in old Russia in 1950s. So it's a pretty bad situation as far as I know. How do you win in 80% Democrat county? It's about 75% Democrat state, and you can still win. So how? It is hard work, sweat, tears. It's talking to a lot of people, and especially talking to some people who are reasonably moderate. There's a lot of people who are independent, non-affiliated, people who are just sick and tired of being involved in politics altogether, and those are the people that don't want to know about anything. They just don't want to be involved with politics. But they have to. They have to understand, they have to be educated, because those are the people who are still not off the cliff, far left off the cliff. They still have some grain of reason left. It's really hard. I had never said it's going to be easy, but we can do it in the same determination and in the same way. Stacey Abrams started turning Texas purple in certain counties in Texas. Nothing stopped her from going into Texas and start poking and turning one county after another in as red Texas as it can get. So why wouldn't we not be discouraged with what is the current state of affairs, how many currently there are Democrats, but looking forward, how do we take them one at a time and turn our blue state red? Because if you look at the map, it's not really blue. It's actually more red than blue. But the way the gerrymandering has worked in our state, it appears to be all blue, but it's not. So let's be real. Let's use the qualities and strengths that we have, and let's work with the red people all over the place and start asking them to help us. One county, one seat at the time. And we'll get it done and the time is now. Second question that I got is, how can teenagers support staff fight back against CRT? Montgomery County Public Schools mandated all staff train in CRT. White staff tell about their privilege to all co-workers. One of the best things you can do is to make sure that your children know their gender and where they stand, what's right and what's wrong. And when they go to school, they can stand and say straight to the teacher's face, that's not true. Make them brave. I'll tell you a personal true story. I grew up in a communist country, and I was quite different, and I was quite vocal in my opinions. And so in that country, when I heard something that's wrong, I would stand up and I would say, time out, everybody, that's not true. Would I suffer consequence? Yeah. But would I stop doing? Could I be changed initially for who I am? No. So I've done it in the communist, country. I'm doing here in becoming a communist country. So
What children need to do is that they have to feel free to speak. So when they hear something bizarre, wrong, and it goes as early as, it's 8 years old. So if somebody tells you, how do you feel about somebody not knowing different genders, that kid, boy or girl, needs to say, excuse me, there's a boy and there's a girl and I don't want to talk about it. It's that simple. So you have to tell your children to stand their ground. And the earlier you tell them, expose them to reality, it's easier. Our guys are completely aware about all the weird stuff that's going on and they know it's weird. When they hear it, they'll tell everybody, excuse me, that's not for me, I'm not interested. So they know how to repel weird. Make sure your children know that stuff that's weird should not be imposed on them. Tell them they have their personal space to back off, because those activists are not just pushy, but they're like flies. They're attacking constantly with some other weird stuff, some other idea. They're pushing and pushing until you repel them really far and really strong. So our country, we need strength, emotional and personal strength, to stop, being pushed to be vaccinated if one doesn't want to be vaccinated, to stop wearing a mask if they don't want to. Individual integrity has to be restored at the individual level. That's one of those stuff that's a really good question.